Welcome to FPL Differential XI, a series where we pick a team of 11 lowly owned players who we predict to score the most points for the upcoming game week, to assist you in gaining substantial rank over other fantasy managers. There's just 3 rules. The squad must be worth no more than 82.5 million, each player must be owned by a maximum of 10% of total players in the game, and we're only allowed to pick a maximum of 3 players from a single team. A silhouette of each player we've selected is already on the pitch, so feel free to play along by seeing how many of the 11 you can correctly guess. Kicking off the team in goal, I've opted for Sam Johnston for Crystal Palace's away match against Southampton. The Saints have been incredibly poor throughout this season. At home they've only won 2 out of 15 matches, so it makes sense to target players from their opposition's defence. On top of this, Crystal Palace have won their last 2 matches under Roy Hodgson, including that huge 5-1 victory at Ellen Road last game week, which should create some momentum coming into this game. Palace's defence was always fairly solid when managed by Hodgson, and I expect them to remain airtight and keep a clean sheet this weekend. PEDRO Porro is the first defender to make the differential 11 for Tottenham's home match against Bournemouth. In previous seasons there's always been uncertainty in selecting a Spurs wing-back due to rotation, but with players including Sessegnon, Emerson Royal and Davis being absent due to injury, PEDRO Porro looks very likely to start. Bournemouth will be no easy test for Tottenham, as they do offer a fair amount of attacking threat, but Spurs have won their last 5 Premier League home games, so you'd expect them to dominate this one. We've also seen PEDRO Porro in advanced positions on the pitch, and taking set pieces, so his appeal does come from more than just clean sheets. Joining the back line is Ruben Dias for Man City's home encounter with Leicester. Similarly to Spurs, there always seems to be uncertainty over who starts in the City back line, but Dias has started 7 Premier League matches in a row and played the full 90, so he appears to be the best option to go for from within the defence. Man City have kept 2 clean sheets in their last 4 matches, and the goals they conceded against Liverpool and Southampton both came from one-off chances in the game, so I'm pretty confident in their defence, especially at home. Leicester have performed incredibly poorly of late, and I imagine they'll be on the back foot for almost the entirety of this match. Finally, in the back 3 this week I've decided on James Tarkowski for Everton's home match against Fulham. Fulham have only scored 1 goal in their previous 3 Premier League matches, and with the absence of Alexander Mitrovic, they don't appear to be as prolific in attack. This will be a huge match for Everton, and no doubt the home crowd will get behind the team and encourage them to fight for a huge 3 points in the relegation battle. I've gone for Tarkowski because he's nailed to start and always seems to be the player who's targeted during set pieces, so although a clean sheet is more likely in this fixture, you can never write off the outside chance of a goal. First off in the 5-man midfield is one of the most informed players in the Premier League currently, and that's Jack Grealish. Grealish has now returned back-to-back 12-pointers in FPL, with 2 goals and 2 assists in his last 2 fixtures. I'm a little wary that City have a lack of options for that left-wing position, and being in the middle of a Champions League tie, I wonder if Grealish's minutes might be reduced. Having said that, Leicester at home is just too good of a fixture not to ignore, and Man City are one of the best attacking sides in the division. I would be surprised if they failed to score at least 3 goals in this one. Joining Grealish is one of the players who returned last week in the differential 11, and that's Eberechi Eze for Crystal Palace's away trip to Southampton. From a team that struggled to come by goals, Palace have now scored 7 times in their last 2 matches, and this week they come up against rock bottom of the table Southampton. Against Leeds, Eze was on set pieces and made multiple overloading runs forward behind the back line. He seems to be utilised much further forward under Roy Hodgson, and I think that only bodes well for his FPL points potential. He's the pick of the bunch for me amongst Palace's forward options. Having scored his 100th goal for Spurs at the weekend, Son is a genuine differential option for our teams this weekend at home to Bournemouth. Although he hasn't performed anywhere close to the levels he was performing at last season, it was around this time last year where Tottenham went on a run of scoring numerous goals against their opposition, and with a good run of upcoming fixtures, there's no reason why a player like Son can't become a good option for us again. Bournemouth won't be an easy team to beat, but Spurs have won their last 5 home matches, and they'll desperately be pushing for a Champions League spot. Many of us had high expectations when Cody Gakpo arrived in the Premier League in January, and so far, he hasn't lived up to them. However, he isn't fully to blame, as Liverpool as a whole have been inconsistent throughout the entirety of the 22-23 season. Although there are options for Klopp to choose from his forward line, Gakpo has started every game other than 2 since Gameweek 20, so his place seems pretty secure, especially as Firmino is leaving at the end of the season. Gakpo has only scored 4 goals since Gameweek 23, but my hope is that Liverpool create multiple goal-scoring opportunities against a leaky Leeds defence. Having started 7 of City's last 8 Premier League matches, Ilkay Gundogan seems to have cemented his place in the starting 11 for now. Man City have a great-looking home fixture this week against Leicester, and the fact they tend to dominate at home and Leicester concede tons of chances is the reason why I think it's necessary to triple up on their assets. I've opted for Gundogan specifically, because in these types of games he tends to make plenty of runs forward into the opponent's box, sometimes waiting for a De Bruyne cross, or being the first player there when Haaland knocks down a loose ball, and so I'm anticipating him either providing or scoring a goal this weekend. With injuries to players like Rashford and Garnacho, it seems likely that Anthony Martial will start for United this weekend against Forest. I honestly don't know what to expect from this game, but Forest are a team that generally allow their opponent a lot of chances, having conceded 54 goals in the league this season, which is the joint second highest alongside Leeds. Although Martial is injury prone, he does often return in the games he plays, having picked up 4 goals and 2 assists in limited minutes so far this campaign. So long as his teammates provide him with the chances, I think he's got a good chance of returning this game week. The final player I've selected for the team this week is Patrick Bamford for Leeds' home match against Liverpool. I spoke earlier about how Leeds have been vulnerable in defence, but the same also applies to Liverpool, who have conceded 6 times in their last 3 games. With both teams likely to play on the front foot, my prediction is that there'll be plenty of chances for attacking players in this game, especially those who press and force mistakes from the opposition's defence. Having scored last weekend against Palace, my hope is that Bamford keeps his place up top, and being on penalties just adds to his appeal as an interesting differential for the upcoming game week. Congratulations to this week's King of the Channel, Alex Campbell, for correctly predicting the points total of the Gameweek 29 Differential 11. Love that, mate. If you want to be in with a chance of winning a shout out on the channel, correctly predict the points total of this week's Differential 11. Info will be down below in the pinned comment. Thanks for joining us on this week's video. Make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to avoid missing the next one, and I wish you all massive green arrows for the upcoming game week.